everybody, welcome to the show. Hello everyone, welcome back to Raising A to Z, this YouTube channel all about homeschooling. My name is Amanda. I am the teacher turned homeschool mom who pops in here every Monday giving you guys little tips and tricks all about homeschooling. So today we're answering a question that we were asked. It is, what is the flow of our year? Like, not just like your day and your week or your month, like what is the flow of like a whole calendar year when it comes to homeschooling. Before we do that, if you are new here, please consider subscribing and click the bell so you get notifications when we put out new videos every Monday. First thing I need to say, I need to set the record very straight and very clear here. Every family is going to have a different flow. Every family is going to have a different way that they set up their year. Every family is going to have different ebbs and flows in their year, and it's all going to be very unique to them because every family is unique and every situation is unique. So that's the first thing. Every family is going to be different and unique, and that is normal. That's a good thing. No homeschool should look exactly the same as someone else's because we're not the exact same family as someone else. So I can only tell you what our homeschool year looks like, but it can give you some ideas of like what you might want to do or how you might want to work towards planning your homeschool year. Another thing that I want to say is that everything is always changing. It was one of the best pieces of homeschool advice I was ever given was that just when you think you have everything figured out, it's going to change again. So right now, this is the flow that we have found. It is the flow that works for our family right now. Ask me in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, it's probably going to be something totally different. There's so many factors. It has the number of children. Like we have 2 kids right now. We don't plan on having any more, but we have 2 kids. They're pre-K and almost grade 1. That's kind of, that's going to change, and what we do in our day and how we flow in our day and our year is going to change as they get older. There's going to be different aspects to our lives that are going to change. Maybe a kid's going to pick up an activity. Maybe we're going to have a job change. Like there's so many things that you don't know, that you can't predict in the future, and there's things that are just going to change just because of like I said, growing up. So things change. Don't expect things to stay the same forever, but right now this is kind of what works really well for us. So when figuring out your flow and what your year kind of looks like, I think it's important to look back at what your year was like and look at times when you had really good flows and when you had some slumps and different things. And so over the last several years, we've actually taken time and like written in our planner. Well, let me clarify. I write in the planner when we've had like a hard time with our homeschooling, when we were really stressed about things, like just kind of like when certain months we couldn't get things going. And I actually kind of document that in my planner. The reason being is I can look back over kind of the space of a year or 2 or 3 years and see if there's a pattern. And so over the last 5 years, we've kind of noticed certain patterns in our year, and that's helped us adjust to what we're gonna do, and also it helped us adjust like what are our expectations during different times of the year. There's that. I think if you could journal a little bit, or like I said, jot down a couple notes in your planner and look back through your planners, it can be really helpful. So this is what our year looks like. So first off, we kind of consider ourselves year-round homeschoolers. That means that our kids are doing something learning and educational pretty much most of the year. We don't necessarily take big breaks off of school. So that means sometimes they're doing workbooks during the summer or different things. We occasionally take like maybe a week here or there, or we do other activities that aren't workbook related, but we're always our mindset is that we're always learning and we're always doing educational and learning things all year round. There are definitely times when we're more curriculum based than others, but that's just, again, that's part of our flow. Another thing that is interesting for us is that because my husband Stefan is a high school teacher, we are kind of tied a little bit to the public school calendar in the sense that, he has to work certain months of the year that follow the calendar. So we don't necessarily have the same flexibility as some other homeschool families when they can take vacations whenever they want at different times of the year. We pretty much have to follow the school year calendar, which is fine. It just means that we realistically have a different kind of a flow that just fits the school year in a sense. This is how our year goes. We start kind of a new year every September when Stefan goes back to work. It's just a good time for us to jump back into things. I think September is good for a lot of families. or whenever school starts in your area. I think it's a good time for a lot of families because that's when programs seem to start up again. So for example, like the girls' gymnastics starts up again in September, our playgroup starts up in September, our science center opens up again and like runs their homeschool program in like September, October. So like a lot of those kind of homeschooling things are starting again in September. And I also know a lot of homeschool parents who are interested in going to places like museums and galleries and things like that during like the school year because there's less kids there, because there's no families going on a Tuesday to the art gallery, right? Because all the kids are in school. So it's kind of, I know a lot of families kind of start and try to do a lot of those kinds of activities during the school year because it's just easier for them. So September, I usually take September to kind of like slowly rev up into our workbooks and our curriculum. So we start with doing a little bit and then adding a little bit more. Sometimes it's just one subject and then like the next week we add in a second and then we add in like a third as we go throughout September. And so we're slowly like revving up into like what will become our routine for the next couple of months. So that's September. October, we got a pretty good flow going. October is one of our heavier curriculum months for us. We kind of jump in and try to do as much curriculum as we can during October while also trying to get outside because it is still nice out. We live in northern Ontario and by Halloween, we pretty much usually have snow and it's getting cold. So especially early October, we're still trying to get outside a lot, but also we're starting to like get into a good groove of getting curriculum done on a regular basis. November for us is usually a good month because we do a lot of curriculum in November because it's starting to get like cold, but not enough snow to really do anything. So it's like kind of not worth getting dressed up in your snowsuits to go outside, so we don't go outside as much. But it's also like cold and you need to do that. So we end up spending a lot of time inside in November because it's a weird season for us. It's kind of a crossover, like transition season. So we end up being inside a lot, which means we have a lot of time to do our curriculums. And so we tend to like, again, keep going with our curriculum. It's a curriculum heavy month for us. And, but usually by the end, we are starting to get a little bit on the tired side. So that's basically our goal, is to kind of have a good chunk of curriculum done by the end of November, because then it's December. And December for us is Christmas. Christmas is my favorite time of the year. And so we basically, we don't do any workbooks during Christmas time. December to January, we don't do any curriculum. We just do all the fun, festive things that come with Christmas. So I found, this was like something that we discovered early on in our homeschooling, is there's just too much going on typically. Obviously COVID's been a little weird this year, but typically we find that December just has too many things, between trying to go to like visit Santa and bake cookies for this person and go to this concert and that concert, and the kids are in this play, and we're just all over too many places in December to really focus on curriculum. And it was starting to get stressful trying to like, okay, we got to do something. I said, whatever, let's just drop it. And so we don't do curriculum in December. We just focus on doing all the things that are happening in December, all the socialization, all the birthday, we have a lot of birthdays actually in December, all of, you know, the Christmas parties and pageants and concerts and Santa reading stories at the library. Like, we do all of those things, and that's what works for us, and our kids have a very full December even without doing any curriculum. January for us is a hard month. January, it's the coldest month. It is like super cold. This year hasn't been too bad, but typically January, it is not unusual for us to have days that hit -40 for a couple of days, which is really, really cold. And so we don't like going outside is hard because it is just so cold. It is like dangerously cold. So we're inside a lot. We stay inside and we keep warm, but we're also coming out of all the excitement of Christmas. And so we have, things aren't as exciting. It's too cold to go outside. A lot of our activities are slow to start in January. And so we kind of crash. And yeah, it took us a couple years to like figure out how to handle January. And like I said, this is why I'm a big fan of like keeping a couple notes in a planner or in a notebook about like what your year is going on. Because after a year or two, I noticed that January is hard. And now we have like a plan for tackling Januaries. So often in January, we do our curriculum. but I always pick a unit study that is going to be super exciting and super engaging. Like basically, I look at all the units my kids want to do in the year and I pick the one that they are going to love the most, and it's going to be the most hands-on, the most exciting. We do it in January. Simply because it's a great way for us to like jumpstart back into our school and our routine. And that has kind of been a bit of a helper for us. So February, it goes one of two ways for us. Either it is a great month and we plow through a lot of curriculum, or we are all sick. That's just, it seems to be 50-50. And that's just, you know, that's okay. That's a great thing about homeschooling, is we can kind of adjust what our expectations are when people's health is not great. And so this year we've been lucky that February has been a really good month for us. No one's been sick, probably because we haven't gone anywhere. But yeah, so this month we've been getting a lot of curriculum done, and a lot of our like math and language workbooks have been getting done. Other times, if everyone's sick, we focus on, you know, just hanging out. We watch a lot of documentaries. Again, it's a cold here in Canada. March is a good curriculum month for us. We try to get a lot of our curriculum done during the month of March, but we also like to have some fun. So March tends to be when we have spring break around here. Not this year, but typically we have spring break in March, and we try to go and do something fun. For us, we've often gone for like a 2 or 3 day trip to Toronto, and we've done like the zoo and the aquarium. Our kids love that. So we've done things like that before. And we try to do something really fun during March break because Stefan is off, and so we kind of don't do so much curriculum on that week, but we do a lot of fun learning things that kind of are easier when there's 2 parents around. The other thing that happens in March is I start dreaming and planning about what next year is going to look like. I find March is a good time because I can kind of see where we're at in our curriculum. Will we need new curriculum? Where, like, are we gonna finish it all up, or are we gonna like work our way through? For example, Alexi kind of started a new math book in January. So she started grade 2 math in January. She probably won't finish grade 2 math by September. So I can kind of gauge where we're at in terms of our workbooks and decide what we will need to purchase in the, you know, for the next school year. And so I start kind of like making lists and thinking and planning out, you know, what kind of units we're going to want to do next year, what kind of curriculum are we going to need. And that way I start in March because it gives me a lot of time to watch sales. Basically, I can watch for when there's going to be a sale for free shipping, or when this particular workbook is going on sale, because basically it gives me about 6 months until I need the curriculum, and that's usually within 6 months something is going to go on sale. So that's kind of why I start in March, and it gives me lots of time to like gather resources and gather ideas, and you know, it becomes something that I can work on over the next couple of months. But March is when I start kind of dreaming and planning what my next year is going to look like. April is, again, it's a month that we focus on curriculum. Typically April is a really wet month for us because the snow is melting and it's cold and rainy outside. So basically it's just muddy everywhere. So we don't spend, again, a ton of time outside. It's not like March we go outside a lot, February we're outside a lot. April is like hit and miss because sometimes it's just too cold and wet to just really get outside. But we do when we can, and the goal for April is to try to hit as much curriculum as we possibly can and get through quite a bit of it. And we actually do. Like, that tends to be something we do get through a lot. In April, May, we are wrapping things up. May and June, we try to finish up all the curriculum that we have, or get to a point where we feel comfortable stopping doing our indoor workbook time, because it's getting nice outside. And when we live in Canada, we definitely need to get outside when it's nice out, because it's going to be freezing cold in 6 months. So May, we are definitely spending a lot more time outside. So May and June, I do pick unit studies that are usually something we can do outside or more outdoor based, so that we are incorporating learning, but also incorporating being outside more. So workbook times are getting shorter, and we're kind of starting to try to wrap things up. So I'm not starting new curriculum. If we finish something and we haven't, like, I just wrap it up and we don't start anything new. So June, just like May, but even more so, we are wrapping things up. and we are going outside. That is basically our goal for June, is to make sure that as much of our curriculum has been finished off or is at a natural stopping point, that we can pick it up later on when it starts to get cooler out. And then we're doing, I always put a unit study that is outdoor based so that we can be doing a lot of like learning and hands-on and adventures and stuff like that, and we can be outside. That's kind of the goal, is to be outside as much as possible. We also do, like, I try to add in a lot more like go for park days. We go do a lot of nature walks and do like outdoor type nature activities, nature school and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we do in June. By the end of June, Stefan is off. He is done work for the summer. He gets usually 9 to 10 weeks off and he's home with us. And so we, in the past, have typically done a lot during the summer. We do a lot of traveling. We visit my sister down south. We go to Toronto. We've gone to all kinds of, like, we've done a lot of traveling. We go camping, all those kinds of things. We try to get projects done, and we always notice that we feel really overwhelmed, especially in July. And so having, again, taken notes over the past years, we've kind of gone through and realized a few things. That for us, July is the hottest month. It's very difficult to do any kind of like DIY projects that need to be outdoors because it's quite hot. And we're just like coming off of lots of activities. It's kind of like we don't have the energy, but we really mentally want to be doing a lot of things, but we just don't have the energy. So we've basically come to this decision, Stefan and I, that when it comes to July, we can travel to visit family or go on a little trip. We can go to the beach and we can go to the pool and we can go to the river and we can go to the lake and do all those kinds of things, but we're not doing any projects. So there's no like DIY projects that we do even as like husband and wife. We're not painting anything, we're not refinishing anything, we're not renovating anything. We're taking July and not doing any of that. We're focusing on staying cool, on having fun and just relaxing. That's our goal for July. And through all of that, like, we still do things with our kids. Like, our kids basically unschool for all of July. We do a lot of activities with them. We follow what they're interested in, what they're excited about. We like spend nights looking at the stars and tracking stars. Like, that was Alexi's big thing last year. We do like all those kinds of things, but it's all just about like, what are we gonna do that is relaxing, cool, and fun. The other thing that we spend a lot of time doing is like, we try to read a lot of books. That's basically like our goal for the summer, is to like read as many books. And because I don't really put a unit on this summer, it's a lot of like random books that the kids really love. So we often reread books that they really like, which is kind of fun. Or they pick books that like, it just doesn't have a unit that you could do with it. Like, it's just not a themed book. And so we get to get into some really cool stuff over the summer. So that's kind of what we do for July. August, kind of same thing, but for me, August starts it's like the month before a new year. We start to get into some new things. So for me, there's a certain level of like, while we're having a lot of fun and we're doing a lot of reading and a lot of unschooling, for me as the mom, I'm starting to get into like finalizing plans, making sure that I have all my curriculum, that I've done any school supply shopping that we need to do. And then like the last week or two of August, I always, for some reason, get the insane urge to clean. I know some people get spring cleaning urges. I get fall cleaning urges. And I just want to clean everything, organize everything, and make sure that our home and everything is like the most organized and clean that it can be before we start a new school year. Again, that just seems to be like our flow for our year. That's what works for us. And some of it's just natural. Some of it follows kind of, you'll notice like the weather, because we have to be logical in that sense, because we have plus 40 days in the summer and we have minus 40 days in the winter, and we have to, adjust to the weather. Some of it is just things that we've noticed. Some of it is like work related with Stefan's schedule, but that's just how our year just flows kind of naturally. It's flowed this way for a couple years, but we've taken notice and made decisions based on how our year, we've noticed it being. And so I don't expect this flow to last forever. I do think it will probably be similar for the next 2 to 3 years before we start seeing a really significant adjustment. But so far, that's what works for us. That's what makes us happy. It keeps us sane. And it also means that we're not overwhelmed all the time. Like, we've kind of found ways to eliminate some of the the stresses that we have of like trying to get projects done in July. We don't do that anymore. We realize it's just not a good month for us to do that. That's just our flow. We really like it. It works for our family. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and other videos like it and you want to see more videos like this, make sure that you subscribe and you click the bell so you get notifications, because we put out new videos every Monday. And if you have other questions and you want to ask us, don't be afraid to slide into our DMs on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. We answer a lot of questions, and who knows, it might become a new video. Thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.